Hi, welcome. Enjoy the content, subscribe, and turn on notifications.
Daniel was at the vet clinic when he got Jennifer's message. It was short, straight to the point, and carried that coldness he'd come to know all too well over the past few months. I need to think. Don't look for me today. At 31, after 6 years of marriage, he thought he knew all his wife's moods. But this tone, this sudden distance, was something new, something that unsettled him in ways he couldn't quite name. The fight had been silly. Completely stupid, really. A job offer in another city, an opportunity he wasn't even sure he'd accept, had somehow turned into an ultimatum for Jennifer. "You always put yourself first," she'd said, her eyes flashing with a rage far out of proportion to the topic. "I have my career here, my clients, my life. But that doesn't matter, does it?" Daniel had tried to explain it was just a conversation, a possibility to consider together, but she'd already grabbed her purse and walked out, slamming the door hard enough to make the picture on the wall rattle. He finished the day's appointments on autopilot, his mind drifting between the argument and a growing sense that something was off. Jennifer had always been temperamental, yes, even dramatic at times, but she'd never disappeared like this before. At 5 p.m., he called. Voicemail. At 6, he texted. Read, no reply. By 7, as the sun began to set and paint the sky orange and purple, his worry gave way to a deeper, different kind of anxiety. She came back at 11 that night. Daniel was in the living room, his laptop open to a work presentation he couldn't focus on, when he heard a car pull up outside. It wasn't her car. Through the window, he saw Jennifer step out of a yellow cab, adjust her bag on her shoulder, and walk to the front door as if nothing had happened. The cab waited until she was inside, its taillights flashing briefly before vanishing down the dark street. "Where were you?" Daniel asked, keeping his voice calm even though his heart was racing. Jennifer tossed her bag onto the couch and ran her fingers through her messy brown hair. "Just walking. I needed to clear my head. I went to the park, walked around, thought things through. You know me, I process stuff like that. 6 hours of walking. I went to a cafe too. Sat down, ordered some tea, just stayed there. Lost track of time." She looked at him with that expression she usually used to shut down any questioning, a mix of exhaustion and irritation. "Why are you interrogating me? Did you want me to come back furious?" Daniel swallowed the next few questions. There was something in the way she rushed to explain herself, in how she'd avoided his gaze just a second too long, but he didn't want to fight again. "Not that night. I was just worried," he said, and let it go. The next few days were oddly normal. Jennifer slipped right back into her usual routine, working from home on her laptop, taking client calls, flashing that polished smile she used on video calls. But Daniel noticed little things. Her phone now always face down. She'd take it with her to the bathroom. The way she'd quickly swiped away notifications, almost reflexively, whenever he entered the room. 2 weeks after the fight, Daniel was at the neighborhood basketball court, sweating under the Saturday afternoon sun. It was his favorite part of the week, that hour with his friends where he didn't have to think about veterinary diagnoses or bills. Marcus, Steve, Owen, and a few others rotated through quick games, good-natured trash talk, and laughter echoing off the fenced-in court. Owen was one of the youngest in the group, a lean 26-year-old driving a cab to pay for nursing school. He was drinking water on the sideline when Daniel walked over, still catching his breath after an intense play. "Hey, Owen, how've the rides been lately?" Daniel asked, more out of politeness than real interest. "Busy, as always. Did 17 runs yesterday." Owen laughed, wiping sweat from his brow. "Actually, funny you should ask. The other day I gave your wife a ride." Daniel felt something strange in his gut, a twinge he couldn't immediately place. "Yeah? When was that?" "About 2 weeks ago, I think. At night." She was near that hotel downtown, you know, the Riverside. I was surprised she didn't recognize me, but I remembered her from the photos you show on your phone. She seemed too anxious to notice who was driving. Dropped her off at home. The world didn't stop. The other guys kept playing, the ball thumping against the asphalt with its usual steady rhythm. But for Daniel, something shifted. He remembered Jennifer's car had been in the garage that night. She genuinely couldn't have driven back herself, which made the whole thing even stranger. The Riverside Hotel, he repeated, forcing a casual tone. Yeah, that fancy one with the river view. I figured you guys were celebrating something or whatever. Owen shrugged, completely unaware of the bomb he'd just dropped. She asked me to drop her at home, not back at the hotel, so I figured she'd left her car there or something. Daniel forced a smile. Oh yeah, now I remember. It was work-related for her. The words came out mechanically, automatically, while his mind raced at full speed. Jennifer had said she'd been at the park. That she'd walked. That she'd had tea at a cafe. Nothing about a hotel. Nothing about downtown. The rest of the game was a blur. Daniel missed easy shots, lost rebounds, got confused looks from his friends. When he got home an hour later, Jennifer was on the couch, tablet in her lap, apparently reviewing design layouts. How was the game? She asked without looking up. Good. Daniel sat in the armchair across from her, still in his sweat-soaked jersey. Talked to Owen today. He saw it. Just for a second, a split-second flicker, but he saw the immediate tension in her shoulders, the way her fingers froze over the tablet screen. Owen? The cab driver. Plays basketball with us sometimes. Daniel kept his tone neutral, watching every micro-reaction. Nice guy. Oh. Jennifer went back to her tablet, but her movements were less fluid now, more deliberate. Cool. Daniel didn't say anything else right then. He didn't mention the hotel, didn't make accusations. But that night, as Jennifer slept beside him, breathing deep and steady, he lay awake staring at the ceiling, his mind assembling a puzzle he didn't want to complete. The next day, Sunday, gray with the threat of rain, Daniel waited until Jennifer left for the grocery store before he acted. Her laptop sat on the desk in the home office, lid closed but unlocked. He knew the password. It was their wedding date, something he'd once thought romantic and now felt like a cruel irony. The screen lit up to reveal an open chat in her messaging app. A contact saved simply as L with a camera emoji next to it. Daniel scrolled up through the conversation, his heartbeat growing faster with every line he read. Last night was incredible. I can't stop thinking about you. When can I see you again? I already miss you. That photo you sent, you're perfect. The messages dated back 4 months. 4 months of, I love you, you complete me, he doesn't deserve you. 4 months of plans, promises, scheduled meetups. Daniel kept reading, each word like a blade, until he reached the most recent messages. That hotel was perfect. Can we go back next week? I can't wait until we're finally together for real. Have you talked to him about the divorce? Daniel closed the laptop carefully, his hands trembling slightly. Divorce. She was planning to ask for a divorce. And that L with the camera emoji could only be one person. Lucas. The photographer. The guy Jennifer casually mentioned from time to time, always framed as professional collaboration or important networking for her career. He grabbed his phone and dialed a number he never imagined he'd need. James was a professional who'd once helped a client at the vet clinic with a serious issue. I need advice, Daniel said when the man answered. And I need it fast. James was efficient. Within a few days, Daniel received an initial report with enough evidence to confirm everything he feared, and more information kept coming over the following week, completing a puzzle he never wanted to solve. Jennifer and Lucas met twice a week, sometimes at the Riverside Hotel, sometimes at his apartment. The affair had started during a professional photo session Jennifer did to refresh her portfolio. In the photos James obtained, they appeared entering and exiting elevators, holding hands, kissing in parking lots. But it was the last page of the report that left Daniel frozen in his office chair, the desk lamp casting long shadows on the wall. James had looked into Lucas too. And he'd discovered Lucas wasn't just a charming photographer with romantic promises. He was a pattern. In the past 2 years, Lucas had been involved with at least 3 other married women. Always the same story, a photo session, instant connection, promises of a shared future. Other women had also reported similar issues with Lucas, emotional manipulation and false promises that led to serious personal consequences. Daniel spent that night crafting a plan. It wouldn't be an explosive confrontation or a public scandal. It would be precise, surgical, calculated. The following Thursday, Jennifer announced she had a client meeting that might run late into the evening. Daniel just nodded and said it was fine, he'd use the time to catch up on overdue reports. He watched her get dressed with more care than usual, noticed the unfamiliar perfume, the dress he didn't recognize. 15 minutes after she left, Daniel grabbed his keys and followed. It wasn't hard. Jennifer had no reason to suspect anything, she didn't check the rearview mirror or take alternate routes. She parked in front of a modern building near the Arts District, where Lucas had his studio on the 3rd floor. Daniel waited an hour. Then 2. At 8 p.m., when it was already dark and city lights blinked like earthly stars, he sent Jennifer a text. "Need to talk to you. It's urgent. About the vet patient I saw today, I think I made a mistake in the diagnosis and I'm worried. Can you call?" She replied in less than a minute. "Still in the meeting, can I call you in an hour?" Daniel smiled without humor. "Sure. I'm here at Lucas's studio waiting for you to finish up. Came by to drop off some documents you forgot." He watched through the lobby windows as Jennifer stepped out of the elevator. He saw the panic on her face, how she looked around, searching for an exit that didn't exist. When she pushed open the door and stepped onto the sidewalk, Daniel was leaning against his car, arms crossed. "Daniel, I can explain." "Can you?" He didn't raise his voice. He kept it almost conversational, which somehow made it more frightening than shouting. "Are you going to explain 4 months of lies? The twice-weekly meetups? The Riverside Hotel? Or maybe you'd like to start with that night you pretended to walk in the park?" Jennifer opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. "How did you?" "A cab driver we happen to know. Remember that night? He dropped you off at home, from the hotel." Daniel pulled a manila envelope from his car. "But honestly, Jenny, the rest wasn't hard to figure out. Not when you leave your laptop unlocked, not when you can barely hide your phone. I didn't want it to be like this," she whispered, tears gathering in the corners of her eyes. "I love you, but Lucas, he understands me in a way that. In a way I don't. Is that the excuse?" Daniel let out a dry, bitter laugh. "Here's the funny part, Jenny. I hired a private investigator. And I found out some interesting things about your Lucas. Want to hear them?" He didn't wait for an answer. He opened the envelope and started showing her the photos, documents, and screenshots. Jennifer paled as he revealed each detail of the investigation. Lucas and 3 other women. Lawsuits. Threats. A meticulous pattern of seduction, promises, and eventual blackmail. "He said he loves me," Jennifer murmured, her voice breaking. "That we'll be together. He told Sandra that too. And Michelle. And Brooke." Daniel pointed to the names in the report. "You're not special to him, Jenny. You're just another one. The difference is you destroyed a 6-year marriage for it." Just then, the building's front door opened and Lucas appeared, his hair perfectly styled, his expression a practiced look of concern. "Jennifer, are you okay? Is your husband?" "Oh, you must be Lucas." Daniel turned to him with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "The talented photographer. The dream guy. Want to see some photos I've got here? They're pretty interesting." Lucas glanced at the envelope, then at Jennifer, then back at Daniel. The confidence on his face started to crack. "I don't know what you're talking about, man." "Oh, you do. Sandra knows. Michelle knows. Brooke knows." Daniel took a step forward. "And now Jennifer knows too. You're good, I'll give you that. 4 months of lying to my wife with promises of a shared life, a bright future, true love. But the problem with repeating the same scam over and over is that eventually someone connects the dots." Jennifer looked from Daniel to Lucas, the truth finally sinking in. "Lucas? Is this true?" "Baby, he's making it up, he's jealous, obviously." "Don't call me baby." Jennifer's voice was low, dangerous. "Answer me. Are there others?" Lucas hesitated just a fraction too long. That was all she needed. Jennifer turned to Daniel, mascara streaking her face, a mix of anger, humiliation, and something that might have been regret. "Daniel, I'm so sorry, I didn't know, I thought." "You thought he was different? That you were special?" Daniel shook his head, sliding the envelope back into his car. "You destroyed us, Jenny. For a liar who probably doesn't even know your full name without checking your Instagram." He got into the car and turned the ignition. Through the open window, he spoke the last words Jennifer would hear from him that night. "My lawyer will be in touch. Tonight's not a good night to come back. Tomorrow we'll talk calmly about your things." Daniel drove away without looking in the rearview mirror, leaving Jennifer and Lucas standing under the yellow glow of a street lamp, two strangers realizing the lies they'd shared were as false as the promises. The months that followed were a haze of paperwork, court appearances, and dividing assets. Jennifer called dozens of times in the first few weeks. Daniel answered once, to hear her beg for a second chance, swear she'd end things with Lucas, commit to therapy, change. He simply said, "You already had your chance. 6 years of chances. Now it's over." The divorce moved faster than they'd expected. No kids, no dispute over the rented house, just a clean split of two lives that no longer fit together. Daniel heard through mutual friends that Jennifer had confronted Lucas after that night, that there'd been a public argument at his studio, that she'd discovered not only the other women but also a 2-year official girlfriend who had no idea about his side affairs. One of the former lovers sought legal help, and with support, the situation eventually gained attention in the community. Lucas's studio closed a few months later. As for Jennifer, rumors said she'd moved back in with her mother, lost key clients when the divorce became local gossip, tried to start over in another city but returned after 2 months. Daniel neither confirmed nor denied anything. He simply moved on. 7 months after the confrontation, Daniel was back on the basketball court on a sunny Saturday. Owen was there as always, trash-talking and missing 3-pointers. During a break, he approached Daniel with an awkward look. "Man, I never really apologized properly," Owen said, kicking a pebble on the asphalt. "For saying that. Didn't know it was gonna blow up like that." Daniel grabbed his water bottle and took a long drink before answering. "No need to apologize. You told me the truth. It was her who lied. You doing better now?" "I am. And it was true." Daniel still felt the pain sometimes, still had nights where he revisited good memories now tainted by betrayal. But he also had nights where he slept peacefully, didn't compulsively check his phone, didn't wonder where his wife really was. "I'm a lot better." Owen smiled and clapped Daniel on the shoulder. "Good. Now come on, I'm about to destroy you in this one-on-one." They played until the sun started to set, painting the sky in those shades of orange and purple Daniel was learning to appreciate again, not as an ending, but as a fresh start. Proof that even after everything collapses, the world keeps turning, the sun keeps rising, and life keeps offering new games. On his way back home, to a small apartment that was entirely his own, Daniel stopped at a red light next to a yellow cab. It wasn't Owen driving, but still, he smiled. Because that cab, that casual comment on a basketball court, had been the push he needed to see what had been right in front of him all along. Sometimes the truth arrives in unexpected ways. Sometimes it comes from a well-meaning friend. And sometimes it comes from a cab driver who plays basketball and recognizes faces. Daniel accelerated when the light turned green, leaving the cab behind, leaving the past behind, driving toward a future that was finally his alone. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any updates. See you next time.